Jimmy and Jey Uso against Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. And in the match, Bully, especially near the end of that match, Bron and Bronson had the advantage. And it looked like Bron and Bronson were going to get the victory. Roman's music hits, the first time we've seen Roman since Paris. Out comes Roman, helps Jimmy and Jey to get the victory over Bronson and Bron. Not the most satisfying way to get the victory because they definitely needed help from Roman, but that's neither here nor there. It's really what happened after the match that I think is going to be... Go ahead, Bully.
Perception-wise, why did the babyfaces needed help to win the match?
That's what I mean. Like, but you wouldn't be like judging from the crowd reaction. I don't think they really cared.
And this goes back to my point about wrestling fans being reprogrammed, retrained, re-brainwashed to not care about things. This doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if this doesn't make sense. Never mind. Just move on. The Usos versus the Brons in a tornado tag team no rules match, right?
Yes.
And it looked like who was going to win?
I mean, Bronson and Bron had the advantage when Roman came out.
So the baby face came out to help the baby faces because it looks like the heels were going to beat the baby faces in a legitimate match.
Yeah, but I also think, Bully, it might play into what happened afterwards.
Okay.
And you know, Roman comes out, saves the day. I think it adds to what happened, you know, after the match, which is with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. You know, Bron and if you go back and watch that match, Bron and Bronson got the advantage in that match with Jimmy in the ring. And, you know, here's Roman acknowledging Jey Uso, giving the hug to Jey Uso, saying, "Hey man, this is your time now." And he cursed. They had to mute out. I think he dropped an F-bomb in there, like almost like, "Fuck him. This is your time now. This is all about you. Take it. It's yours." And he's saying this right to Jey Uso. And there's Jimmy Uso in the background. You could tell Jimmy's like, what the hell's this? And that's how they went off the air. And it's almost like, again, we talk about the layers in this story. Jimmy Uso has been a good brother to Jey. Jey has found himself in some situations with LA Knight where we're kind of doubting the direction that Jey Uso's going in. But one thing we do know about Jey Uso is Jey Uso has the attitude of like, man, fuck all this. Like, why do I have to worry about what Sami Zayn thinks? Or what do I have to worry about what LA Knight thinks? This isn't about them. It's about us. And even like Jey Uso with Cody, like where Jimmy Uso feels like he wants to make sure that everybody's getting along and everybody's on the same page. Jey Uso's completely the opposite of that. And he's actually saying, you know what? I need to start thinking more like Roman does. And here's Roman acknowledging Jey Uso after that match ended last night. It's just an interesting way to end this because I really don't know what's going to be the next page or the next chapter in this story. Roman's involvement, the relationship between Jimmy and Jey, how Jimmy is trying to make nice with everybody where Jey doesn't give a shit. And Jey actually saying, by being the nice guy, where did it get me? I lost my championship. I lost my status. I lost who I am. This is some really good storytelling, and I really don't know what the next page of this chapter is going to be.
I agree with the storytelling. I agree with your assessment of what happened after the match ended. You used the word Roman came down to save the day. What was he? Who was he saving the Usos from?
From Bronson and Bron.
But that was the match. So people might turn around and go, well, Bubba, you're putting such a small aspect under a microscope. But that is the whole reason Roman should have been coming out, to save the day. Somebody should have done something to warrant Roman coming to the ring. We could have gotten that entire aftermath the way it went down and the way you just explained it if Roman truly came down to save the day. If Paul Heyman would have come in the ring with a flamethrower. Now, nobody would ever think about coming in the ring with a flamethrower, but if Paul Heyman came in the ring with a flamethrower and then Roman Reigns would have come down to save the day, I understand it. My point is this. Why is it okay for the babyface to just come down and save the babyface team because they were in peril from the heel team that both teams agreed to be in this match?
But I think what you just said, Bully, is the reason why Roman came out. I think the reason why Roman came out wasn't just to exact revenge about what happened the last time we saw Roman Reigns, but maybe he felt the need that he had to come out. So by coming out and helping them and then acknowledging Jay and not Jimmy, does that make you think as a viewer that Jimmy is less than? And the reason why they were in the position that they were last night was because of Jimmy Uso.
No.
See, that's how I looked at it.
I did not.
That's how I looked at it.
I didn't. So you're saying that your eyes saw this as Roman came out to help because he knew that Jimmy was the weak link, and if Roman didn't show up, they would have lost.
Well, I mean, the Roman coming out to me was definitively because almost like he felt they needed his help.
But these, not only are these the baby faces, this is one of the most accomplished tag team in the history of WWE that now needed the help of big cousin Roman Reigns because they were getting their ass kicked in the agreed upon match. I just wish that there was more of a reason for Roman to come out. The minute Roman comes out, I'm like, why is he coming out now? He's coming out to help the baby faces, but he's not righting a wrong. This is not tit for tat. It's not like we saw Seth Rollins come out or Paul Heyman jump up or somebody come to make it a possible 3-on-2 where Roman music hits. Now he comes to save the day.
I really do feel that this is going to come back and be part of the story. Like, I think Jimmy Uso is going to be like, why? Why did you come out? Why did you come out when you did? Like, we could have won this match without you. And then also the biggest part of it is why is Roman acknowledging Jay and just letting Jimmy hang out in the back?
Remind me, did we see any interaction with Jimmy and Roman? I believe the answer is no. I never got that moment in time where... So... if they would have went off the air like this, then I understand your scenario. Roman's talking to Jay. Jimmy is in the background. That's what we saw, correct?
That was how it went off the air.
If before, I'm getting goosebumps right now. If before they go off the air, Jimmy walks up on Roman, turns Roman around and just throws his hands in the air as if to say, what the fuck? Now you go off the air.
But you could have done that, but I actually loved the way that they went off the air last night, Bully, because you have Jimmy in the back and he's kind of like you could see it in his face, kind of like the what the fuck. Like they finish with like there's Roman, and WWE's been doing this a little bit in the Triple H era where it doesn't have to be so obvious. The subtle nature of the ending of that show worked, where it's like, there's Roman, like on the surface, you're like, there's Roman pumping up Jey Uso, like, man, it's your time. Don't fuck these people. Don't take their shit. This is your time. Because it kind of feeds into the narrative of what Jey Uso's been saying these last couple of months. And there's Jimmy in the background, like, kind of like, what the fuck? Like, I'm part of this too, you know. And he said it not without saying it, but you can read it on his face. That's the subtle nature of it. He told you all that just by the expression on his face. I love it when they do it in a subtle way where you can pick up on it and it doesn't have to be so in your face. I love the way they went off the air last night after that match. And I actually think it is going to be part of the story that Roman decided to come out during that match and not after that match.
They're going to have to explain that to me, because those were the questions that I was asking when I saw him. And getting back to what you're saying about how they went off the air, you love the subtlety of it. Me and you could be standing next to each other in the Louvre and looking at the Mona Lisa, and you could say, wow. And I can go, yeah, Dave, I totally agree with you. Wow. And you say, look at her smile. And I go, what do you mean? I was looking at her hands. We could be picking up on two totally different things. You picked up on the subtlety and liked it. I would have liked a little bit more of Jimmy's, what the hell, man. I would have loved that picture painted a little bit better. I don't think either one of us is wrong. Both would have worked. Mine, I think, tells a little bit more clear of a story for a second time. Yours leaves a little bit more of a cliffhanger, and you thought the look on Jimmy's face told enough of the story. So what will it be about now? The follow-up.
Yeah, and it really is about the follow-up. And, I feel like we're seeing this play out in real time. We always talk about soap operas in our mom's story or our grandmother's stories. When you would watch the soap operas, because they had it episodic and it was every day, they had to leave you with like, did I look at, like, I liked it, and like, I'm looking at Jimmy.
Was Jimmy looking at Roman with that look in his eyes because Roman came down to make the save? Or was Jimmy looking at Roman with that look in his eyes because he was paying too much attention to Jey Uso?
And you know what? I looked at it as like, all right, why are you giving so much attention to Jey Uso? But you might be right, Bully, in the fact that maybe he was looking at it like, why did you feel the need to come out here and save us when we could have won this match on our own?
That's why I feel like the turning of Roman, and I'm not saying like one of those deliberate hard turns.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a gentle hand on the shoulder and just turning him around and just shaking his head and look at him as if the why, and go off with all three of their faces. Neither one of us is wrong.
But you know what?
It's
Bully,
just the way they wanted to tell their story.
And Bully, maybe the WWE doesn't want it to be that abrupt right now. Maybe they're planting a seed and they're going to let it water, and then we're going to see what happens over the course of the next couple of weeks. I don't think this is going to be something that happens, bam, next week you have an answer.
And if there's giving the creative minds associated with the bloodline the benefit of the doubt, they know how to stretch something out. They know how to get week after week of episodic television out of it. So it's very easy for me to say, yeah, okay, Dave, you might very well be right that was their exact thinking on the way Jimmy looked at them at the end of the segment.
And you want to know something else, Bully? I kind of like that, you know what? They're giving that much credence to Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, where you just said it. The Usos are one of the greatest WWE tag teams of all time. But they needed Roman's help last night to get the victory. I think that shows you how big and how far they have come with Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, where there was a point where we looked at them as just side pieces to Seth Rollins, where here they are in a main event match against the Usos.
You see, like I said, younger wrestling fans obviously being programmed, not reprogrammed, but programmed the way the WWE wants them to be, where they're not realizing that a babyface is coming to help the other babyfaces when he should not be getting involved. My wrestling mind just tells me, wow, the babyfaces were in that much trouble that they needed help. It kind of goes back to the mentality of tag team wrestling and making the save. Okay? When a tag team match is going on, and if the heels get a cover on a babyface, and the other babyface has to make the save, what does that tell you?
That they needed to make the save, that they're weaker, than they needed to do that in order to break. That's what, to your point, Bully, that's usually the spot the heels do, where they have to help each other in order to continue the match.
So what we saw last night from Roman is normally what the heels do. They come and they switch the odds in their favor. Now, if in that tag team match, the heels make the save first, then the baby faces make the save, now it's a tit for tat. But as a babyface team, we never made a save for one another first, because that's basically admitting if you didn't make the save, your guy would have gotten pinned. If Roman Reigns doesn't come to the ring last night, the Usos lose that match. That's why I have a problem with Roman coming down without righting a wrong, or coming to even the odds, or coming down to help these guys because somebody was going to get involved that didn't belong in that match.
Or maybe Roman didn't give a shit about the match itself. All he cared about was getting revenge on Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, and didn't give a shit about, to him, maybe the outcome of the match didn't mean anything to him.
Then why did he wait till the end?
That's a good point. But then again, why just acknowledge Jay and not Jimmy? And looking at this big picture-wise, Bully, like big picture-wise, and I understand what you're saying about the tag teaming, and we're seeing it more and more where they're blurring the lines, especially with the baby faces and the heels. But long term, this relationship between Roman, Jimmy, and Jay, just based on what we've seen right now, where do you think they're going with Jimmy, Jay, and Roman? Because I think you would agree that Jay has acted a little heelish the last few weeks, and Jimmy has been the nice guy. But here's Roman, one of the most popular wrestlers in the WWE. You can make the case maybe the most popular wrestler in the WWE. He's acknowledging Jay and being like, dude, what you've been doing is right. Fuck all these people. Take what's yours. This is your time. And there's Jimmy, who's been doing the right thing all these weeks, hanging in the back and not getting any acknowledgement for Roman. So I'm very interested where this goes, because I feel like Jay has kind of been heelish. Jimmy's been uber babyface, but there's the biggest babyface in the WWE acknowledging Jay and ignoring Jimmy.
Here's what I want to see accomplished. I can't give you yet I can give you a guess. Be pointless right now. I need to see more of this story unfold. Here's what I'd like to see happen. We know that we know of the opportunity that Roman has been given over the past within the bloodline to become the megastar that he is, and he has become. We know the opportunity that Jey Uso has been given, and how he has branched out from tag team wrestler to very successful single star and becoming a world champion, the Yeet movement, yada yada. What I want to see is Jimmy given the same opportunity. I want to see Jimmy be put in the story now as the star and not a co-star. I want to see if Jimmy can flourish and thrive the same way Jay has. Because all three of those guys can get to, if we can, nobody's getting to Roman. Jay can't, Roman's level is difficult. Roman is higher than Jay. Jay has gotten very, very high, but Roman still has this aura, this godlike quality to him. If we can get Jimmy near Jay level, wow, that is going to be significant in the storytelling down the road between the three of them. I could see the three of them all grasping for power. Roman in Jay's ear. Roman realized that he's put too much in Jay's ear, and Jimmy saying, no, I'm becoming more powerful than the both of you.
There's three ways that this could go. It could go where Jimmy's going to continue on the path that he's going, trying to be the nice guy, trying to build bridges with everybody, and kind of going against what Jay and Roman are doing right now. Or it could be that he continues to just be a part of his family, which we've seen in the past. Or he completely goes against Jay and Roman. Or maybe he tries to fight to get to where Jay is right now so that he gets acknowledged by Roman. Like,
And Dave,
there's
the
a
key
lot
word,
of different ways they could go.
the key word in this entire past 5 minutes is maybe, 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 maybe. It's very early on in the story, and maybe they can do any of these things. Yes, it's so hard to really put your finger on it.
But that's why we have to. That's why we speculate, and I can only go by what we're watching on Monday Night Raw. And
Okay, so what are Roman and Jay and Jimmy doing at WrestleMania?
Why, I don't know. I have no
Speculate.
idea. No, but you have to let the story play out, though.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many maybes right now because they're in the beginning stages.
But that's what makes it so good, Bully. If I could predict right now what Roman, Jimmy, and Jay are going to do at WrestleMania, then the WWE's not doing their job. They're making it predictable. What they're doing is telling you a good story where you're living in the moment and enjoying the moment for what it is.
I'm agreeing, and I'm saying in all of these possibilities, in all of these maybes, the most important thing to me is getting Jimmy to the same level as Jay.
Agreed. I that's where we agree, Bully, and that whatever this means with Roman and Jay, and like we've even talked about that this story is probably about Jey Uso. We said that early on in the Bloodline story. But they have to get Jimmy somewhere close. Like right now, it's.
Do you
Roman
take Jimmy Uso seriously right now?
Yeah,
let me word that better. Do you take Jimmy Uso as seriously as you take his brother Jay?
No.
Then you definitely don't take him as seriously as you take Roman. There's a significant gap. It's because Jay has been given, the character has been given more opportunities within the storyline. Jay needed to become Jay, and Jimmy had to be him. You can't push, both of them aren't going to break out of the team together and achieve the same success together. No tag team breaks up and both guys become the same level of star. So it became Jay. Jay became as important to the Bloodline story as Roman. Now, in this chapter, Jimmy has to become the most important part of the story.
He has to step up. And listen, he's at a big disadvantage here because Roman is so high. Jay is so high. When you look at the Bloodline, I would put Jacob Fatu higher than I would Jimmy Uso. Like I would say it's Roman, Jay, and Jacob Fatu. Like those are the top three. And we just saw Jacob Fatu return on SmackDown. Jimmy has to get in that circle. Like he's outside that. I don't think he's at the point where we look at a Tama Tonga or a Solo Sikoa right now. But he needs to jump up where he's at least in the same sentence as Roman, Jay, and Jacob Fatu.
Could you ever see all of those guys coming back together to reunite the entire bloodline and the family?
I have always said, Bully, that when this story ends, the bloodline is going to be standing together as a family, all of them.
And what if Jimmy Uso is the guy that could reunite the whole family?
It's possible, or it's possible that it could go in a completely different direction. Like I feel like Jimmy Uso right now, after what we saw last night, Jimmy's got to be a little pissed off that there's Roman acknowledging Jay.
He's got to feel slighted.
Yes, he's got to feel slighted. So
he's got to feel a bit Fredo-y.
And you know what it is, though? I think it's because his kindness is looked at as a weakness. Roman's looking at his kindness as a weakness. Because he just said, like he cursed, he dropped an F-bomb, Roman, last night. Like, fuck all these people. It's your time. It's your time. What about Jimmy? It was a tag match last night. It was a tag match. Why did he bring Jimmy and Jay together and say, guys, it's your time now. Let's get back to where you were, the greatest tag team in the WWE. It's not what he said. He just acknowledged Jay on his own. And I do feel like we do have that. It's Roman, Jay, and Jacob. And everybody else is on the outskirts and outside the bubble. I really feel like it's those three guys. And Roman's a definitive one. Jay's a definitive 2, and Jacobs right now is a definitive 3.
And I'm going to go back to what I said, based on the fact that Roman came out to help these guys when there was no wrong to right. So he comes out selfishly, in a way, to help these guys. And then he only addresses Jay. To only have Jimmy in the background kind of looking like, man, what the hell's going on here? I thought it should have been a little bit more. I thought Jimmy could have stepped up, not gotten anybody's face, but at least looked somebody in the eye and started to question them until they went off the air.